Well, today I'm back in Toronto to do some more street photography. Or is it travel photography? It's both, really. Whatever you want to call it, it's a lot of fun. I'm shooting at 28mm in black and white. No surprise there. But I'm doing something different this time. I'm doing street photography with a red filter. Never done that before. I usually keep a yellow filter permanently on the lens, but red filter really darkens the skies, and we've got beautiful blue skies today, and it's very contrasty, the light, so this is going to exaggerate the contrast. It's going to lose me 3 stops of light though, so I'm going to be shooting between 1600 and 6400 ISO, and that's perfect because I get really good noise with this camera. It's actually more like film grain. So I want to enhance that to get that sort of retro black and white look. The sort of look that I used to get using HP5 black and white film back in the day. You come here and shoot a lot?
A lot on the weekends mostly. Not every day or anything, but over the summer, here's like one of the nicest, busiest places in the city to see a lot of people. So yeah, I do.
Tell me about, you go to New York a lot, right?
Yeah, I do. It's the best place to go if you want to see people and take pictures of people. That's where you get the most people and the most density. So your volume is, in Toronto, you only have this in so many places. There you could walk the whole city and have constant flow. No shortage. Bring a lot of film if you're shooting film, and bring a lot of memory cards if you're shooting digital.
So what's the camera and what film do you like to shoot normally?
It's a Leica MP, and most of the time it's portrait, and here 400 or 800 depending on the light of the day.
Just last week, I watched a video on YouTube filmed in New York with that guy in it. What a small world. Things aren't quite working out as planned today because I spent most of my time talking to other street photographers. There's a lot of photographers out here, and for good reason, because there's just people everywhere. Well, my GoPro died halfway through the afternoon, so future me here to explain a few things. The idea behind using the red filter was so that I could capture wide scenes of the streets with the blue sky and clouds in, the light on buildings, and create a very dramatic, contrasty image. Because obviously anything blue is darkened and the sky was very blue, the clouds are going to pop. And I did get a couple of shots like that. This one in particular I was really pleased with. That was exactly what I was going for. But of course I quickly got wrapped up in shooting all of the interesting characters that you can find in Kensington Market. But I'm very pleased that I did, because I got some great shots, quite a lot of shots actually. A red filter can be very useful for shooting people because it can lighten skin tones and give you some contrast. And a really good example of that is the shot of this lady sitting in this dark entranceway to a coffee shop. The red filter allowed me to get a light face and a dark background, lots of contrast. And black and white photography, in my opinion, is best when you've got lots of contrast going on. Now, the other reason why I kept the red filter on was because I lose 3 stops of light, and it allows me to crank up the ISO, which I know sounds weird. Why would you want to shoot at faster ISOs? Well, the sensor on this little Leica Q2 is a monochrome sensor, and it's so good. The dynamic range and the noise is so fine. It's actually more like a medium format sensor. I actually want to mimic black and white film because that's my background. So it so happens that the sensor on this camera, when you do crank it up and start to get noise, that noise doesn't look like noise from most cameras. It actually looks like film grain. It's beautiful look, lovely look to it. So that was the idea, was to create that film grain look by shooting between 1600 and 6400 ISO. It does go up to 100,000 ISO, and certainly I've had some usable shots at 50,000. So the important thing to know about the photos that I'm going to show you, there are quite a few, and they're not all the greatest. There's certainly not a lot of keepers there, but I'm showing them to you because that's what I shot. Actually, it's only a little bit of what I shot in an afternoon out. I'm sort of documenting my afternoon and showing you what I see and what I shoot. And I think the point behind this is to show you you've just got to keep shooting and shooting and practicing, because certainly with the type of street photography that I do, I lock off the camera. It's completely in manual, including the focus. I'm zone focusing, and I'm shooting from the hip a lot of time. So I'm shooting blind, if you like. So by practicing, it allows me to hone in my skills. So when something does come along, present itself, I can capture it in a split second and be fairly confident that I'm going to get it sharp and sort of in frame. So because I'm shooting from the hip, a lot of people, even though it looks like in the photos they're looking at the camera, they're actually not. They're looking at me. They're not really seeing the camera, or they're seeing the camera, but they're not aware that I'm taking photos. I had a light top and a backpack with all sorts of straps as well as the camera, so that does actually, it does stand out. If you're walking close to somebody in the street, they're going to notice you. So they were mostly looking at me and not the camera. They weren't aware that I was shooting. With this camera, it's there's a silent, completely silent shutter, and I'm walking around and I'm just pressing the button with my thumb as I walk. You wouldn't have no idea that I'm actually taking a photo. I'm going to be talking about camera settings and techniques in a future video, actually a future video series, so make sure to subscribe. Until then, here's a selection of photos that I took during the course of the afternoon. I hope you enjoy them, and I hope to see you again soon. Cheers.